Hey y'all, Preston here again with the Barely There channel. Here with another late movie review for you. Interesting piece, Disney's Onward that just came out several months ago. David and I both caught it, and we have a pretty interesting take on it. And this was a fun review to do. Again, sorry, my bad for getting this thing out so late. I still have several movie reviews backlogged here on my phone. I've just been busy, personally, I've got a new job and my own new place, but moving isn't fun for everyone. So that's been a little cray cray. And first, well, not first because I've already said it, but I hope everybody's staying safe out there. We still have the pandemic going on, and even though I'm loving what I'm seeing with the protests out there, I just hope everybody is still social distancing when they can and just being as safe as possible. But yeah, without further ado, because it's been long enough, here's our review of Disney's Onward. Hey all, Preston here again with the Barely There channel, here with another movie review for you. Tonight we are reviewing the newest effort from Disney and Pixar, Onward. Tonight with me, as always, is my good buddy David Lee Harvey. How you doing out there today, David?
Yo, 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 you want some Buffalo Nuggets to go?
Yeah, I would love some Buffalo Nuggets.
We got you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Now I'm just hungry. I I had an early dinner. It's 1:47 here, a.m. In the good old Mitten State, and roughly 12:47 for Mr. Harvey. So if you could ship those Buffalo Nuggets over real quick, I never know what you're gonna do with these intros. They always keep me
That's
on my toes.
that's right. And I meant to say Griffin Nuggets, so you can just go ahead and edit that out the video. Okay. So like when this is all done,
No, no, no,
'cause-
no, 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 no. I'm not gonna- that motherfucking shit is staying in this goddamn review. Now let's talk about this family Disney Pixar movie. So you give me my Buffalo Nuggets, Buffalo Nuggets.
a buffalo and a griffin are two different things.
The one's an actual thing. I mean, I'm not well traveled. Maybe there are some Griffin Nuggets out there. I don't know. Please comment below if David is making the.
Tell us.
Onward is a 2020 American computer animated urban fantasy film produced by Pixar. Um, it stars Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Julia Louis Dreyfus, Octavia Spencer as some of the voice actors in this movie. And yeah, just the newest effort by Disney and Pixar. It's been a little while since we've had not an animated movie, but a movie from this studio. If I'm not mistaken, I think the last one was Toy Story 4 of last year.
I believe so.
Yeah, not terribly long ago, but you know. And usually with Disney and Pixar, people usually keep an eye out because they're known. They have a pretty good track record. They usually put out good movies when they do. And I was kind of interested in this movie, just because I love the fact that it's a completely original story, you know, and I really like that. It's essentially about these two young men who set on the quest to meet their father, but it's set in this very, you know, mythical mage and wizards and just kind of like this I would say almost like Dungeons and Dragons kind of land, but a very modernized setting that they have it in. And yeah, it's a very unique concept, and I think something we hadn't quite seen before. And now this is funny, David. Before we got on, I told David that this was a movie I actually did not mean to see, And what I meant by that was, so I hung out with my sister and the family that she's staying with, her adoptive family. I took their son out to the movies Saturday, and I remember saying it clear as day. They wanted, and I wanted to, even though I had already seen it. Wanted to see the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this bitch, she hands me the tickets. I'm like, okay, we go to the theater. It's fine. We sit down, and I had already seen the movie. Of course, David and I already had done a review on it, as you guys know. Sit down, and the movie starts on time, roughly. So I didn't think there's nothing wrong. Sit through some of the trailers, should be fine. And then all of a sudden, like I see the CGI world. I'm like, okay, this is kind of how I remember it. But then I hear the voice. Then I hear the voiceover,
Wait
and
a
I'm like, man,
minute.
more time. This is the world. I'm like, Longhorn, where you at? And I'm just like, okay, no, this is. I remember just looking at the other two. I'm like, guys, we're in the wrong movie. I pull out my ticket stub. Yep, it says Onward on it. She gave me the wrong tickets,
Oof.
and so we ended up seeing Onward. And then they felt so bad that they actually gave me free tickets for Sonic, and we ended up seeing that right after. It was a long day. Yeah, yeah. So I already had kind of like a twisted kind of mindset going into the movie. And David, I'm gonna let you take the lead here because I missed, because I was talking to the manager at the time. I missed roughly the first 15-ish minutes of the movie.
Okay.
So how does the movie set itself up?
So the movie set itself up like how you remember from the very beginning,
Okay.
like kind of given the narration that the world used to be this magical world, and through advancements of technology and modernization, the mythical creatures of this world still inhabit this world, but they stopped relying on magic and started relying more on science and technology again. So it's like the way that they used to do things, they would like light their fires with wizard magic. They would levitate things that needed to be levitated, I freaking guess. And they would just it was just their way of life. But then people started finding the conveniency. Like the first invention that they showed was like the light bulb. And so it's like this wizard's walking around lighting fires in people's houses so that they won't die. And then this person's like, hey, like I made a light bulb. And everybody's just like, it's so easy. And they're flicking it like on and off. Because like one thing that they said in the narration was that the magic, like doing magic was possible, but it was hard to learn. So it wasn't like it took time to like get it down. And so
Gotcha.
it's just like us, like it was a straight comparison to regular society there. Like we're not freaking lighting magic fires, but there's a lot of things that used to take us a really long time, and now we're so used to just the instant access to everything. Like that's just the way the world rolls now. So yeah, the world they set up the story showing that like the two main characters, they're elves pretty much. Chris Pratt and Tom Holland's characters in the movies, they're elves. They don't do anything particular magical besides just having like pointy ears. But,
Yeah.
they're in the world with like trolls and goblins and little like fairies and centaurs and unicorns, and all these guys are doing their thing, but they're driving cars and using cell phones and taking buses and stuff like that. So that's how the movie pretty much opens up. And uh, the big plot of the movie is that the brothers, their dad passed away. Their dad passed away when Tom Holland was before he was born. So he never even got to meet his dad. So Tom Holland's turning 16. He's turning 16, and his dad left him a birthday present that said not to open until he was 16. Him and Chris Pratt open up the present, and it's a wizard's wand they
Yeah,
realized
that.
that their
Hmm.
dad, yeah, he studied magic, and he left them a spell that could bring him back to life for one
One
day.
day. Hmm.
hmm
Yeah.
And pretty much, Tom Holland tries the spell, he gets it to work halfway, and so they're left with the bottom half of their dad, just his legs, and they have to go on a quest to find a Phoenix Stone to in order to get the rest of their dad, the top half of their dad, before the day is over, and that's the whole premise of the movie there.
Hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I came in right about the time that Chris Pratt, Barley, that character, he was messing with the staff and trying to use it, and then Tom Holland, Ian, he picked. Well, not he didn't pick it up, but he was like reading it or something, and it was like responding to him because he has the whole thing is that Barley he's very much into the whole mythical history of where they come from and all that stuff is one of the things he shared with his dad. But Ian is like very skeptical about it, you know. Ironically, uh, Barley doesn't have the magical gift, no pun intended, and Ian does. So the staff responds to him, like as you said, he's doing the spell, but it's not finished. So you just get a pair of legs, and they're on this quest to get the stone, as you mentioned, and finish bringing their dad back. Um, so a pretty good motivating quest for these two boys to be on. Let's start with, as we usually do, all the things that we liked about the movie.
All the things we liked.
Yeah, do that every time we do this section. Yeah, all the things we liked. Failure there was not filmed in front of the live studio audience. Um, Thank you. Thank you, Stewie. Um, yeah, the one thing I noticed right away when I got back, um, I really, they're no slackers, man. Like the animation was, I thought was pretty amazing. Um, like just from like the textures of their hair to their skin, and just how photorealistic the world was, but it still meshed pretty well with like these cartoony looking characters. Like everything just looked on point. Like it was a very nice looking film. To the effects of the wand, to um, the physics, just how they interacted with one another. Even though you're seeing elves and fairies and manticores, like everything just it seems pretty. It, it was its own thing. It was its own world that I hadn't quite seen before, in this animated CGI world, and I really appreciated that. And I really like that because it's original story. It's got solid um, special effects or graphics, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah, this is one of the first things I noticed that I really appreciated.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the movie was, this movie was a good movie. I enjoyed myself in the movie. There wasn't a time where I was really, this is like my go-to statement, but there wasn't a time when I was really like unsatisfied or uninterested in the movie the whole time.
Hmm.
It kept me engaged, and I was in it. And I agree with you. Like, the movie was beautifully animated. Like, these guys, every time they make something, they just kind of, you're like, geez, man, like these
Yeah.
guys,
Oh
like
yeah.
they're who they are for a reason.
You're right.
Um, if off the bat, if there's one thing the first thing that I kind of I popped in my head to compare it with is a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit like Adventure Time.
Mm.
Kind of feel like it's this world that they're living in is like it's not in ruins, but it's just like a post like magical world, like kingdom.
Yeah.
More so like modernized, magical kingdom, and you see all these aspects, all these things in this world, like kind of just like sitting and laying around, which really makes me want them to to dive into the world itself again. Like I
Yeah.
would like to see another movie where they're kind of just like walking around and exploring, without like like the whole without like the whole like dad thing. Like sure, like
Yeah.
we got to see like we got to see, and I didn't mind the dad thing, but we got to see like I feel like this was just like a almost like a little bit of a glimpse into the world there, and there's
Hmm.
so many more things that they could explore,
Sure.
like with this world that used to be inhabited by magic, and I think that that's a possibility that they do have. You saw like at the end of the movie, Tom Holland's character was like kind of like reintroducing his classroom, and I
Hmm.
suppose like his society like back to magic
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I like the whole like the whole like scenery, like the plot, the setting of
Yeah.
this movie was really cool to
Yeah.
see. I would like to
I
see.
I see more, but yeah, I agree 100%. Because I was unsure of whether or not they dived into it, like whether or not that was the part I missed. But yeah, I was wanting to know more. Like I want to know more about their history, and more about like where they came from and like when exactly the turn was when they became more. I don't want to say subtle, but it's an allegory. It's a metaphor of modern day here in the real world. How convenient life is for us now with our technology, and
Mhm.
them kind of forgetting their past, their roots. One of my favorite moments in the movie was was when um, they go and find that this dungeon or whatever of the ferocious Manicore is just like this, essentially a Chuck E. Cheese. you know,
to like when I saw the trailer for this movie, so I knew that that was gonna happen.
I didn't.
Like when they got to this place,
Yeah,
and so like the thing, this place looks so freaking creepy and
it
like
does.
abandoned. Like there shouldn't have been anybody in miles from this place. But
Right.
when they got there and opened the door, like you said, it was like a Chuck E. Cheese. Like there was kids and birthday parties,
Yeah.
like a TGI Friday, like Chuck E. Cheese, like going on in there. And the
Right.
question in my head was just where was the freaking parking lot?
Where's
Like
the parking lot?
where was like any signs of like humanity, on the outside of this place. The spooky mansion on the intro of Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that
like
was that
like
was
that.
that was pretty much that place
It
there.
was like, did they come in from the back? Like, I don't understand.
Right. They must have. They must
Because yeah, that place was full up. So it was popping. Like it was pretty busy, and yeah, total 180. So I didn't see the trailer, so I didn't see that coming. And I liked when the Manicore, she was having that breakdown where she was just like, yeah, I used to be the shit. Like I used to be a badass. Like what am I doing? you know. And yeah, I was just more curious and learning more about her and just the world in general because I thought, well, um, what a great contrast it was
Yeah.
to the fact that these kids are on this legit mythical quest. This is like something that wouldn't be too far off from like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, and the fact that they have to use like a crayon like playmat as a map to go get this thing to resurrect their dad, like, was pretty crazy. Um, so yeah, that was good. I like that. What else did I like? For the most part, I I'll say this. I like all the voice actors in this movie.
Mm.
Um, I think they're well cast. I'll say that. That's like probably the highest thing I could say. Like Tom Holland, I'm getting kind of sick of just hearing his voice. now, I mean, between this and Doolittle and Spies in Disguise, like he's pretty much the same character. He's always that kind of reluctant hero type, um, who's like dorky or smart, and you
Hmm.
know gets roped in these crazy situations. But if this is the character, I mean, yeah, he's fit for this role. And Chris Pratt was funny. Um, the whole time I was just thinking, like, wow, he's just playing like a young Jack Black. in this,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yes, he was.
he was like a teenage Jack Black. But again, he worked perfectly fine. He might have been my favorite character in the movie. Honestly, I really liked his backstory, what he had, his history with their dad, and
Mhm.
how attached he was to his van Guinevere. Um, Guinevere, like I really like that. Um, and yeah, I thought the voice acting for the most part was pretty spot on. So that's another thing I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was I think what was it like Chris Pratt's what was he the Parks and Rec? It was like Parks and Rec. Chris
Parks and Rec. Yeah, he played
like
Andy in
that.
Parks and Rec. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He
Him
well,
at his
Andy in Parks and Rec was just like he was borderline retarded though. Like this one had some sense about him, you know. And he was excited. Like, yes, I finally get to. It's kind of like wish fulfillment. He was finally excited to go on a quest, and his brother could do magic. Like, yeah, he's living out, a childhood fantasy in a
It's like,
sense.
this is everything I ever wanted.
It kind of was, yeah, for him. It really was. If he was his character for Parks and Rec, he would have been no help.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Because it's kind of he was very bumbling.
A little bit,
His Barley. Even his name. His name's freaking Barley. That's a
Barley.
bumbling name.
That is a
Like
bumbling name.
you're not gonna be very like
Yeah.
articulate, composed. When
Right.
your name's Barley. But
Yeah, your mom names you Barley. She doesn't have a high future set for you. Like, just get those C's.
see it out.
See it out. But he was entertaining, and I thought those two they had more so than I thought. Like Tom and Will Smith, or Tom and well, I don't want to say Tom and Robert, but particularly Doolittle. Tom, Tom and Robert. But no, I thought Chris and Tom had good chemistry. Like I bought them as brothers. It made sense. So
Yeah, I agree.
fun. Yeah.
They were paired pretty well together.
Yeah.
Like I just imagine like them in the studio. Like there's one scene where the two of them were like walking, and it was kind of like an eerie, scary situation. I don't remember, but like they were eating like cheese puffs, and the Chris Pratt's character was eating a cheese puff, and then he gave it to Tom Holland's character. Like while he was walking, he just like fed him a cheese puff, And I just like imagine like them in the studio, like literally doing that
Just
in real
eating
life.
cheese puffs. Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
I'm sure
right.
I'm sure they at least asked, like, "Hey, to make this authentic."
Right, like Chris Pratt legitimately like putting a cheese puff in Tom Holland's mouth, like while they're
Right.
recording scenes
Right.
there.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Good stuff.
for me, the best thing about this movie for me that I enjoy was just the end result there. Like every movie has the moments of tension where the characters have like a falling out, and then they reconnect together, makes them stronger or whatever. But that kind of happened like 2 times in this movie. And the second time being like way stronger. The first time was when
When they were
Chris
dancing.
Pratt, when they were dancing, and
Yeah.
Chris Pratt found out that Tom Holland kind of thought that he was a screw up,
Yeah.
and like he was like, I'm not a screw up, like blah 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 blah, and like they got over it, they danced it out and hugged it out, whatever, and it was like cool, but it was just like I liked how they just explore like the relationship there, because I think every family, every friend, every like friend group like has that has like some tension sometimes, where you do there are things like unsaid, and when they come out, it's kind of hard and awkward to deal with,
Yeah.
and it was just cool that they did that, like not once but like two times in the movie with the brothers, and the second time was this straight just explosion by Tom Holland there when they didn't have the Phoenix Rock in the end. Like he just like freaking rips his
He
brother in
did.
half
He did.
there. Told him that he was a screw up. Like everything was his fault. He should have never listened to him. Like blah 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 blah. And I was
Mhm.
just like sheesh. Like that. That was really. I think that whole scene there was just really that was really powerful. Like play how they did it there.
Yeah.
Um, and but they wrapped it up. Kind of like brought it back home with Tom Holland realizing that Chris Pratt was always kind of like that dad that he never had,
Yeah.
And it was a quick reconciliation, and that was the first time I started to kind of like tear up in the movie. There was when they were like showing all the flashbacks of how his brother was like always there for him like throughout his whole life, like everything that he Tom Holland made a list of
Mhm.
all the things that he wants to do with his dad, and he realized that Chris Pratt was there for him, and he did all those things with him,
Mhm.
And I was like, bro, like I miss my brother, I'm like, where is Cameron? Like
Oh,
that moment,
I
and
feel you. I miss your
yeah,
brother too.
thank you. I'll let him know.
Please
It
do.
was it was it was very heartwarming.
It was.
There,
No, seriously, it was. Yeah.
yeah, they freaking hit home with that, and not even to mention like like when they're in the end, like their dad actually came back for a brief moment
Hmm.
there, and it was just really they did not even need words to
They didn't.
show like how like of a intimate like sentimental moment it was that was like going on there,
Hmm.
and why am I always crying? Why am I always crying?
Did you cry?
Yes, I cried. This movie got me. It got me in the end there. But
Oh wow.
yeah, that was great for me. Those that was my favorite part in the movie, was that towards the end of it there.
Oh, that's pretty gay. I
Yeah, mucho.
no, I'm toxic masculinity. No, dude, I'm surprised. I actually did not cry. I teared up though. I did tear up. I did tear up. I teared up a bit. It just, I mean, I have a brother. I've lost a parent. So just naturally, it was going to strike some chords with me. But
Mhm,
when the second he pulled out his list, he was sitting with his dad's legs, and the second he pulled out his list, I kind of already knew where this was going. Um,
mhm.
and so it was just it was a little predictable for me. But I did like you said, I did like the fact that Barley got the chance to. I like the whole thing where it's just like, yeah, there's this fourth memory. I don't want to talk about it because I've been there, man. Um, Fourth memory where he didn't really get a chance to say goodbye to his dad because he was scared to face him because he was really sick and weak, and the fact that he finally got to see his dad and his little brother gave him that chance to. And like you said, like you didn't need words, you didn't even really need to see him. That was their moment. That really hit me, and that was when I was tearing up. And and yeah, a part of me, it's weird. I was feeling back and forth about it. Part of me liked the fact that Ian uh, didn't get to meet his dad and just had to see like between the debris. But there was another part of me like, oh man, he went through a lot. He could at least like got one hug in.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
he's the reason why this is all happening.
right.
Uh, um, but I get it. It's fine. I'm not gonna nitpick too much on it. Like I like what they did overall. Um,
Hmm.
so it plucked at some. I didn't cry, but it did pluck at some heartstrings for me.
Sure.
And And that's the thing. I think I'm gonna move into like all the stuff we didn't like about this movie now.
Sure.
Aside from that moment, there's nothing really in this movie that made me go like, whoa. You know what I mean? There was no. It's a very character driven plot, which I really liked. But there's nothing in the movie that as mythical and fantastical as this world is. There's nothing that really made me go like, wow, that was unique or different. Um, and it kind of sucked for such like a beautiful like animated film. Like even when the curse was released and they had to fight that big dragon at the end, look, it looked fine, but
Yeah.
I was never like in any real worry or danger, and it didn't really do that much other than fly around and breathe. I think it breathed fire. I don't remember.
It
Um,
did.
okay, and it had that silly face on the front, so it kind of took away some of the fear.
That
Uh,
yeah, that face did take away from it. Even then when it did get the angry eyebrows, that notched it up a little bit,
yeah, yeah. I was
but
like,
still,
okay,
like, yeah, that face took away from that
it
dragon.
did, it did. Yeah, I mean, I'll still take that dragon over the Doolittle dragon, any day. Um, but yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But there was just as amazing. The film on paper looks fantastic, but there wasn't even when Tom Holland was casting his spells and learning magic throughout the movie, there was nothing that really like stood out to me. Uh,
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I thought the only even the only thing clever I thought was when he was impersonating the centaur cop, their mom's boyfriend, for a hot second, and like how they were hiding behind, or Barley was hiding behind him, and they made up the full thing. Like I
Yeah,
thought that was kind of clever, but again, nothing like too mind blowing. So
right. I was on that. I was like, why do they have to have two people? If it's a spell that like can transform your appearance into anybody that you want,
mhm.
did they really need to have him as the horse's butt? Couldn't it have just been like one of them that
Right,
transformed into, like the boyfriend guy, you know?
right. Yeah, they didn't make that clear. Yeah, even I
Hmm.
was a little confused. Like, why was that necessary?
Right.
I feel
Like
like it should have
that's my nitpick of that one.
been. Gotcha.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, like and I agree. Going off what you said, like there was not like a whole lot in this movie that was like popping out, like
Hmm.
wow, it was kind of just it was. I think they it was just they were shooting for more just like the straight like buddy comedy there,
Hmm.
between the two brothers and things like that. Um, but I again, kind of going back to what I said before, I would have liked to have seen them do like a lot more in
Hmm.
this world, like there, like we got to see the little like the little pixie fairies like do their thing, whatever.
Yeah,
Got to
they
see
were wild.
they were pretty cray, dude. Got to see the crackhead unicorns
Hmm.
flying around, which they're pretty much raccoon
Yep.
cats
Yeah.
in this world. Got to see the manticorn, but
Hmm.
that's kind of it.
It's kind of
Like
it, and they
they
don't do
didn't
too much.
no, they really didn't. Like there's just a lot more things that they could have like took and like went um with this world, with the world they were in. They could have utilized a lot
Yes.
more without doing too much, without having it just like ridiculous.
Sure.
They could have did a few more things there.
Right. No, I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, I felt like the potential was there. They could have utilized the setting a lot more than what they did. I mean, with what they did, it was passable, but
Hmm.
but yeah, again, it didn't show me anything I hadn't felt like I had already seen before. Um, Another thing I didn't like, I agree what you said earlier that the movie is pretty well paced. Like I never truly felt bored in it, but
I want to say maybe probably like most of the second act. I was kind of wondering how much we had left to go. Also, and yeah, I just felt it just moved a bit slower than the rest of the movie. Like up until the part when he sacrificed Guinevere, that's when I felt like the movie was like really starting to we were starting to get to the meat of the movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, this again never was truly bored, but I was kind of like, okay, let's pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a minor nitpick, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's how that's how I felt during that time, so I have to mention it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, for me, there's really not like there's not a lot that I didn't like about this movie. Honestly, it
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, I agree.
it sits well with me.
Yeah,
It's
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 pretty. It's pretty solid. I thought, and I kind of did a little bit, a little bit. Um, they don't do it too much, but and I felt like they read my mind because they kind of stopped doing it. Just a second, but I thought it. I was starting to get a little sick of the whole physical comedy with the legs because they're on this journey with their dad's legs,
yeah.
but it's just legs. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny, it's fumbling around everywhere. It has this ridiculous top half that they put on it. Like, it's funny once or twice, but I was really afraid that they were going to start overdoing it. Um, and luckily, they don't too much. Um, but yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. It was getting a little bit.
Just a little. just
Mm-hmm.
just a little, and I understand why, because we have to remind the audience that it's there and everything. I don't understand why they couldn't just put it like in a bag or something. It's just because I know it's their dad, but again, it's just a pair of legs. Like it's not like it can't breathe. Like it'll be fine. Or lock it up in the van or in Guinevere or something. Like, I don't understand why they had to literally put it on a leash. Um, but yeah, no, it was okay. But yeah, solid movie. I can't really think of anything else, like you said, anything else really bad
Mm-hmm.
about
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah. I think that's it for the bed.
And that's it for Deviant. What would
So,
Deviant give a rating for this movie?
so my rating for Onward. Onward.
Oh
My rating for for Onward. Based based upon based sol I can't say solely, that's a lie, but based upon the ending there with like the feels the interesting choice that they made for Tom Holland
Mhm.
character, the main character in this movie. The whole
Yeah,
point of this movie
yeah, yeah.
was him to meet his dad, but they
Yes.
made the decision for him like not to. That
Mhm.
was something that just kind of stood out to me, and I liked it because it was out of the box. It wasn't conventional. Like it was like,
Yeah.
well, like we're gonna have him not meet his dad. Okay, like it was like, whoa, like that's like the whole thing he was fighting for. And I understand, like there's been plot loop devices that have done this before in a movie in a different way, but
Mhm.
it was just I just wasn't expecting that to happen, so I did appreciate that.
Okay.
And just like the emotions that went down, the emotional movement that went down with the brothers there and with the dads,
Mhm.
that was very touching to me in the
Yeah.
end. And the movie uh just was a solid picture. um but besides those things, so like with those things together, it was a good ride. I had fun. I laughed in this movie. And and I cried. And so I'm gonna give this movie a let's go. Let's go. Do. Let's
All
go.
right.
Do.
That's great, man. Well, let's go. I can't really argue with that. But I will. It's
Okay.
But I will. No, no, I'm not gonna argue with that. Everything you just said is totally fine. Like you said, I like what they did with Tom Holland's character Ian, and the fact that he didn't get the chance to actually meet his dad, and what they did with the relationship between just the family, their whole family dynamic between the boys, the dad, and their mom, who did everything in her power to make sure her kids were all right. Um, that's what I like. It was just a good. It just because when it comes down to it, it's the whole mythical, magic thing is it's all secondary really. Because at the end of the day, it's just about a family that went through this tragedy.
Right.
They get this small sliver of hope and wanting, and they're just trying to see it through. And I think that's something um, anybody can relate to. We've all lost somebody or have gone through some kind of tragedy. Um, and it's a really good premise you know, for what is essentially a kids movie, and I really like that they didn't shy away from that. Um, that being said, I always say that it's better for a movie to have a great strong ending than it is for a great strong beginning. Like if you have to have one or the other, have your movie end on a satisfying, great, emotional or fun note.
Right.
Because that's what you're gonna feel and remember when you walk out of the movie.
Oh yeah.
You can have a mediocre or sometimes even a bad beginning, but if you can pull it through towards the middle and the end, it's gonna turn out fine. Um, and this is a good example of that. But for me, because there was nothing like super visually stimulating about the movie, and and like we said before, I feel like there's just more potential they could have done
Hmm.
overall. And while I never truly felt bored in it, there were some parts that kind of dragged. Um, I want. This is definitely one of the better movies we've had this year so far. Like I won't argue that, and I want to give it a let's go, but there's just something that's like holding me back. There's something that
So
it's like knocking on the door of a
David
let's go
gave
for
it
me.
a let's go.
Yeah,
Go lower.
yeah. I have to for Preston. I have to for Prestonomir. I have to give it a. It's a good movie. I recommend it to people. I do. It's arguably the best thing in the theater right now. Honestly.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to give this movie a barely there plus? Is that what you're saying?
If I could do that, I
Yeah.
might. Yeah, if I could, it's a barely there play. It's yeah,
That
it's like
you know
it's nearly there is what it is.
you, you know what happens when people come into my restaurant and tell me, "Hey, can I have a medium rare plus?" I tell them we don't have that. Like you
Ah.
gotta get medium rare or a medium or get out of my restaurant.
I can't. I mean, you're right. You was right.
No. I do that, bro. We do that all the time. We say
I
like a
don't. We
high
we
barely there or a
we
low barely
do.
there. You
We
know.
do. I kind of hate doing that because it kind of defeats the purpose of the rating. But no, it's okay. I'm just gonna give it. I'm just gonna give it a barely. Maybe if nah. Okay. So another thing too, is because while I did enjoy my time in it, and I kind of do recommend other people to see it, um, I I don't feel the need to see this again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm not gonna go out of my way to see it again in theaters. I don't need to own it on Blu-ray or digital. It was a great story. Good visually for the most part. But yeah, there's no for me. There's no um, rewatch factor to it. Um, and that's kind of one of the downsides of character-driven stories. While they can be really good and really emotional, it really hits you. It's like once you know where it's gonna go, you can still get those feels, but it's just it's not quite the same as the first time. So, um, for me, I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be straight with it. It's a barely there. It's a barely
Oh,
there. No barely there plus. No, none of that. It's a barely there, but
all right.
a solid barely there. It's a
Sure.
good movie. It's a good movie.
Sure.
Good movie. It's a good movie.
Right on. Right
Yeah.
on. No qualms. No fun. No foul. No qualms.
Okay, good. Whew. That was kind of hard to get out.
It's
I
okay.
was looking for reasons and stuff to like kind of push it over the edge,
Sure.
but
Sure.
I couldn't do it. But hey, I don't disrespect you. I agree with your rating too. Like I can see a lot of people walking out with those "let's go" feelings. So that's totally fine.
Right. For sure.
That's
For sure.
that's totally fine. That's totally fine. If it had gotten me to cry, yeah, 100%, I would have given it a "let's
Yeah.
go," and I was almost there. I was almost there. I was feeling it.
I tell you, man, I get emotionally blind sometimes when it comes to movies. Like
Yeah.
if a movie, it's just really important to me. A movie has to make me feel. It has to make me feel something, besides anger. And so, like when a movie makes me cry, I understand. Like I've seen movies before that, they weren't very good, but something in it like made me cry. I'm not saying like, dude, if I freaking watch Dr. Seuss and it makes me cry, I'm gonna give it a the duck,
The duck.
But
Yeah.
I just think that the movie how that part for me that was moving for me, plus like the other like part of the movie of it just being it itself,
Mhm.
that's like that's how they're like sitting in their office like, hey, how are we gonna get David on this one? How are we gonna get that let's go from him?
Right.
Put the family emotional resolve.
Yeah.
Like okay.
Okay, but we gotta sell this to kids. Make them L's. I don't care.
We got him.
We got them. Oh, all right. Well, hey, I'm glad they made the movie for you. It almost worked for me. I mean, it did work for me, but it didn't work as well for me, I should say. Um, but no, I mean, hey, it made you cry. Like I said, I was almost there, man. I was.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them. I saw the tears well up in my
It's
eyes.
okay. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Maybe I should watch it again. I don't know.
Onward 2. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't mind. I don't know how the hell they would do it, but I wouldn't mind seeing an Onward too. Like I don't know what the plot. I can see like the setting, sure, but I don't know what the plot would be.
I can I can see it right now.
Can you?
Somewhere somewhere Chris Pratt's character finds like a quest. He finds some type of like map or like quest or something like that. But like while he's getting his life together at the same time, like he's getting a job and he's like trying to like work and stuff like that. And being compelled to go do like this quest and at the same time become a responsible adult man, even though it seems like he's like 20 something, in this movie. But I can see like the whole like corporate pressure, and him trying to just be him at the same time.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland's there for the ride. Like, let's
So I was
go.
there for right. Yeah, he believes in himself. I can see that. I can see that. I like that dynamic of him being torn between finally being responsible and moving on with his life, and still holding on to that whole, his lineage. Um, I just feel like there has to be something else that's deeper because, I mean, the whole, growing up and but wanting to keep that little kid inside of you alive. It's a good premise. It's one that's been done successfully before, but
Mm.
it's like I don't think it quite matches up with them. The whole bringing their dad back to life and reconnecting. Like I feel like that's just on a different tier.
Let's
Um,
bring our dad back to life.
like if they had done that first and then tried to do the dad bringing back to life, that's what you call up the mistakes right there.
That is a
you know,
gradual incline.
yeah, that is like yeah, he like that's the premise of the first movie, and he decides like, hey, I'm gonna find a balance, or I'm not gonna forget, all the stuff that I used to like, and then that's when the second movie, they get the staff, and then he tries to use the magic because he's back into it, but it doesn't work. But then the brother does it, and then blah, 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 and then this movie happens. Um, so
Well,
that's how I would structure it.
that can work.
You know, the only thing
So,
tragic is that if their mom dies, right?
oof.
and then they have to try.
Who's directing this movie? Hitler? He's just taking everybody out.
9. No. that not.
Guys,
Yeah.
snitch.
We're gonna get Preston to cry, god damn it.
One way or
Like,
another.
like Jesus. You already got my money. It's all good. It's fine. Do you need more? Yes. Okay. All right, all right, Disney. I'm fine. Oh man, I'm seeing Black Widow. Like I'll be there. Like it's all good.
Cool.
But yeah, okay, awesome, man. Good review. I think that was pretty much everything we had to say.
I was like,
Yeah, yeah. I really don't. No, yeah. I think that's nope. That's everything. That's everything from me.
okay, same. Yeah, we're
Cool.
good. We're clear.
We're good.
Our hearts and minds are clear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm good. I am good. All right, awesome, man. Well, yeah, that's our review for the movie Onward. Um, thank you, David, for joining me tonight and doing this review. Really appreciate it.
No problem, brother.
Cool. All right, guys, that's us. Those are our ratings. We got a Let's Go and hi, barely there. Yeah, barely there. Plus, so thank you so much for listening. It's Preston and David, barely there. Now we're here. Keep listening and keep watching.